Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a Tuesday edition of No Huddle Rodeo. Coming to you a little bit earlier in the afternoons now, no longer 5 p.m. Now trying to switch this over to 1 p.m., get you the news of the day a little bit earlier. We are broadcasting, as always, from Fort Worth, Texas. Thank you to Runyon's Fine Furniture. Thank you to Justin Boots. And it's kind of a weird time on the calendar because we've got Reno, the summer runs underway. We've got Greeley finishing up. We've got Pinoca finishing up this week. And then we flip right around in the middle of the week to those Cowboy Christmas rodeos. So if you caught it this morning on the morning kick, we were breaking down some things to watch over Cowboy Christmas. But today on No Huddle Rodeo, we are all about just recapping what happened in Reno, what it means for the winners, what it means for the rest of the summer. So let's start in the bareback riding with Jess Pope, 255.5 points on 3. And I said this on Thursday on No Huddle Rodeo. It was going to be a tight bareback riding coming down to the finals. A lot of guys close together, and ultimately Pope wins it with 255.5 on 3, but a total of 4 other Cowboys within 2 points of him. Tanner Ross, 254.5, Garrett Shadbolt, Cade Senier, and Jacek Frost, all 253.5. And Jess Pope entered this rodeo number 6 in the world. By the time you count it all up, he is likely going to be in the top 5. And again, you can tell with that average score, nothing crazy from Jess Pope. 2 rides of 84.5 and then 86.5 points in the finals. And that was enough to get it done. Just rock solid and steady all the way through for Jess Pope. Another guy who was rock solid and steady in both Reno and Greeley is Will Lummus. Between those 2 rodeos, between the Reno Rodeo and the Greeley Stampede, 5 runs of 4.7 or faster for Will Lummus over the weekend. He was 4-4 in the short round, and he needed every bit of it because Stetson Jorgensen was 4-2 in the short round. Ultimately, Lummus 13.5 on 3 to finish. Stetson Jorgensen 13.6 on 3 for second place. The next closest, Dakota Eldridge at 14.4. And with Greeley, with Reno, with everything that's happened in the past 3 or 4 days, Will Lummus may end up number 2 in the world once all the dust settles, kind of heading into Cowboy Christmas. Entered the weekend number 7, and crucially, very crucially, him and Jorgensen split that round 1 win. In Reno, they pay about $10,000 for the average, but they also pay about $6,000 for winning a round. And so the difference between a guy like Jess Pope, who kind of chugs along and has some solid finishes but doesn't really win a round, he walks away with $12,000 or $13,000 from Reno. On the flip side of that, a guy like Will Lummus, who wins a round in Reno, not the short round, who wins round 1 or 2, that's a big payday. That's an extra $6,000. That's how you win $16,000 or $17,000 in Reno as opposed to $11,000 or $12,000. In the team roping, dominant win from a pair that we haven't heard much from this year. They just linked up recently. That's Aaron Tsinigine and Jeremy Buhler. Tsinigine entered the weekend number 23 on the head side. Jeremy Buhler outside the top 50, but Aaron's going to make a push for that NFR. They were 6-7 in the short round. Ultimately 16-2 on 3 to win it. They were 1.2 seconds clear of Coy Rallman and Cole Curry, who won the short round with 5 seconds flat. So they had a big cushion to work with. Tsinigine and Buhler did. Businessman run. They do just that. They are your Reno Rodeo team roping champions. In the saddle bronc riding, Damian Brennan just took care of business start to finish. He won the Silver State Stampede last week, won Rodeo of the Ozarks this weekend as well. So he is as hot as they come. He's moved up at least 5 spots in the world standings from number 15 to number 10. Could get even higher once they total everything up for the weekend, but he got out early, was 87.5 in each of the first 2 performances. That put him second in round 1 by the time it was all said and done, third in round 2 by the time it was all said and done, and then just wraps it up 88.5 in the short round, part of a three-way tie for second. Not a ton of doubt for Damian Brennan, pretty much wire to wire. Like I said, he entered the short round, the leader in the average, and he leaves 263.5 on three. He wins the rodeo by 3 points over Ben Anderson. Zach Dallas, who was number one in the playoff series rankings coming in, takes third. Zeke Thurston and Brody Crest tie for fourth. Ryder Wright sixth. Cade Bruno seventh, and Lefty Holman eighth. So, I mean, talk about an awesome, awesome field to make the finals and do well in Reno. That is as good as it gets. You might see all 8 of those guys at the NFR this year. And Damian Brennan, after a terrific regular season a year ago, took a little bit longer to get going, but he is hot right now. Over $30,000 in the past 2 weekends for the Aussie. Now to the tie-down roping. I think a couple of statements made among all the events. The biggest, loudest statements came in the tie-down roping, breakaway roping, and the barrel racing, the next 3 events that we are going to talk about. In the tie-down, Riley Webb enters tied for third and wins the rodeo by 0.2 of a second over Bray Yor, the reserve world champion in the college finals. Bray Yor led the rodeo coming into the average, or coming into the short round. So Riley jumps him, takes care of business, wins the rodeo. But also what's important is who Riley Webb was tied for third with coming into that short round. He was tied with Shad Mayfield. Shad Mayfield gets a no time in the short round. Riley Webb finishes second in the short round with an 8-3, so picks up that $1,000 check, then picks up another $10,000 for winning the average. And he led by about $15,000 over Mayfield coming into this weekend. They entered tied going into that final round. Shad was 7-7. He won round 2, but Riley makes it all up and is going to gain even more ground on Shad in his world standings lead based on what he did in Reno. He also won another $4,500 for winning round 1 in Greeley. And so, again, they enter tied. Shad in position to make way more money by proxy of that round 2 win that paid him $6,500. If Shad would have won this rodeo just like he did last year, he would have won $17,000, $18,000. Instead, Riley flips it on him. He wins 12 or 13K in Reno, adds another 4,600 in Greeley. It's a $17,000 weekend for Riley Webb. It's a $7,000, $8,000 weekend for Shad Mayfield. And just like that, he extends his lead more and more. And also, he's about $20,000 off the pace that Shad Mayfield was on last year when he broke Riley's earnings record. Remember, Riley broke Shad's earnings record. So the last 3 years in pro rodeo, Shad Mayfield set a regular season earnings record in 2022. Riley Webb broke it in 2023. Mayfield broke it again in 2024, but Riley won the world title for the second year in a row in 2024 after doing so in 2023. So very, very interesting stuff happening there. Just these two going back and forth in the tie-down roping. But when they go head-to-head, when they both have a chance to win the money, whether it's the NFR, whether it's Reno, it feels like Riley Webb has got Shad's number a little bit. Now on to the breakaway roping. Taylor Munsell led by about $40,000 in the world standings entering Reno. She's going to lead by over $50,000 thanks to 3 straight runs of 3 flat or faster. And she was terrific in the short round. She entered in second and then just flipped the script 2-6 in the short round. And that is how she got it done to win there. So number 1 tie-down roper wins in Reno. Number 1 breakaway roper wins in Reno as well. Really impressive performance from start to finish for Taylor Munsell. Then barrel racing, repeat winner, Hailey Kinsel, 50.97 on 3. That puts her at an average of less than 17 seconds per run. Last year, there was just 1 sub 17-second run for the entire Reno Rodeo. This year, there were 7. That is more than the previous 3 years combined. Furthermore, 51.54 is what Hailey Kinsel won this rodeo with in 2024. That would have put her 8th in 2025. So 50.97 gets it done this year as opposed to 51.54 a year ago. Hailey Kinsel 16.78 on one of those runs. We also saw McKenna Coronado break the arena record in Reno with a 16.62. So, like I said, as fast as the barrel racing has been in Reno in years. And we will finish with this in the bull riding. I mentioned the statements came from tie down, breakaway, and barrel racing. Well, I kind of forgot Stetson Wright in the bull riding. The ultimate statement, 92.5 in the long round, 89.5 in the short round. Remember, they only get on 2 in Reno. He sweeps just like Tristan Hutchings did last year. And remember, if you followed leading up to this weekend in Reno, I had mentioned Tristan Hutchings, 181 points on 2, the highest 2-head bull score we had seen in over 10 years in Reno. Well, Stetson Wright, 182 on 2 for the weekend. He rode 5 bulls. He was 5 for 5, all 5 rides over 85 points, 4 of them over 89.5 points, 3 of them over 91 points. In addition to Reno, he also won the Rodeo of the Ozarks and the West of the Pecos Rodeo. Stetson Wright won over $38,000 this past weekend, and that was after I had already noted on the morning kick last week just how impressive his return was. I encourage you to check out that video to truly show what he went through. Now he is back, and again, we cannot take Stetson Wright for granted. He put on a show in Reno. He put on a show everywhere he went in the bull riding this past weekend, and he is your champion there. So, a lot to get through, like I said. Remember, the morning kick was all about Cowboy Christmas. Tomorrow we'll flip to a little more Cowboy Christmas, but also some big performers from this past week. It's a busy time in pro rodeo, and we're coming to you every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on the morning kick on No Huddle Rodeo to break down all of the action for you on the US Cowboy YouTube. Thank you for joining us on No Huddle Rodeo. We will see you tomorrow.